Hi, this is Nico Lampe from Germany. I'm the owner of DNA Concepts and we are a YouTube ads agency. Liana asked me to do a favor, and that is to record an in-depth copywriting session on how to craft the best YouTube ads. So the first question will be how to do the technique, how to scale, how to use PMax, conversion, attribution, and so on. We will not cover any of that, as I will explain you later why that is. Just to give you some facts to start with, we work solely in the German market, so none of you are suitable to be a client of ours. So there will be no pitch, nothing, I will just try to give you the exact same training I gave to our copywriters that spit out on average an ad that creates $109,000 or euros in that case in average revenue. So in total, in the last year, 2022, we crafted 119 ads with 3 hooks each. And on average, these ads created 109,000 euros in revenue for our clients. We take a 10% share of that. So in total, we generated 12.5 million euros in 1 year solely in the German market with on average 16 clients. So we had a total ad spend last year of 4.4 million euros. And that equals to almost a ROAS of 3. So that might not be much, but the interesting part we figured out is that from these 119 ads, just 9 of them produced almost 80% of the whole revenue. So you see there is an Pareto distribution between the ads. And I want to show you what we found out, what these 9 ads all had in similar, and how to craft even 7-figure ads without any copywriting knowledge up front. So if you're a media buyer, if you do have an agency yourself, if you are a CMO for any other company, or if you're just any kind of advertiser utilizing the D2C or B2C market, then this training will be the best copywriting training for you, because I'll try to keep it simple. I try to use non-existing presentations, webinars, workshops whatsoever. We will just go on my iPad and I will show you where to start, how to craft the bait, which is the most important thing in a YouTube ad, and then how to bring your point across real easy without any copywriting knowledge up front. So if you spend between 5K to, let's say, 50, 70K per month, this training will be a really great fit for you, because with just one iteration, you can really move the needle there for your clients or for yourself. So without further ado, let's start in the training and go to my iPad. Welcome to our YouTube ads script training. This is for media buyers, CMOs, agencies and advertisers who are in the B2C niche. This won't work that well in the B2B niches. So this differs quite a lot from every 8-step, 3-step, 5-step, 6 steps YouTube ad frameworks you might know, because it all is about the bait. And I will explain what the bait exactly is, how we use it. I will give you some examples. And I will show how you can leverage even existing ads of yours by utilizing different baits. This is what we figured out. So as I told you, like the average ad of ours generated 109,000 euros. We put out 119 ads. That's the number our media buyer gave me, with each of them having 3 hooks. So you can multiply that. From this 119 ads, 9 of them created 9 million revenue. So in total, we've got 9 million revenue associated just to 9 ads. So this is on average a $1 million ad, so a 7-figure ad, as you might state it. While our ads combined generated $109,000 each, there are some ads, 9 of them, that generated $1 million plus each. And the one thing we did different with these ads is to measure the LEPC. Basically, this is a metric you might not even have heard of, and Google won't show it to you, Hyros won't either. LEPC is lost earnings per click. You might be familiar with like earnings per click. Earnings per click is basically if you divide all your revenue, let's say $100,000, by all your clicks, let's make it easy, 100,000 clicks, that would give you an earnings per click, EPC, of $1. This doesn't really matter, but the lost earnings per click is the most important metric, because you actually would want to measure what the earnings per click of the best ad in your niche is, and then where your best ad is. And that delta is the LEPC. So we try to measure how much we lose on each click in comparison to the best ad in our niche, because we figured there is actually no real metric to measure the best YouTube ad. It is mostly a low CPO, depends on which market you're in, or it's a great ROAS. But none of these two metrics, these KPIs, none of them tells you how far you can go with your ad. So how much ad spend you can put behind this ad. So what you should try to figure out is like how much it actually is costing you running an ad that is below your target ROAS. So if you don't have the metrics of the best ad in your niche, you don't see any other advertisers' ad spends or scripts and how long they are running, then you can come up with a kind of LEPC. So you put in what your actual ROAS is. Let's say it's 1.8. You state your target ROAS. Let's say it should be at least 3x. And then you measure your actual cost per click. So CPC, let's say that's €2 each. And another metric you should know is like your monthly ad spend right now. So these four metrics basically allow you to calculate on how much you lose unless you figure out the best ad in your niche. Because in YouTube, it all comes down to the ad, right? You know, 67 Steps ad from Tai Lopez that generated him, according to an interview he did, more than $100 million on back-end revenue. You maybe know the Potty Squatty ad that is quite known, at least to a survey from our software users. And you might also have seen the $1 Shave Club ad, at least if you're in the male market. The $1 Shave Club company got sold, I think, for like $1 billion. Potty Squatty is also one of the most successful e-com brands, and the 67 Steps is the most recognized ad almost ever shown on YouTube. So you might have seen these three ads, and these three ads all generated multiple seven-figure revenues for their advertisers or for the brands. So it's all about the ad, and if you can nail it down, you can really put a lot of ad spend behind it. If you don't have the best ad, then you can calculate your monthly cost of not having the best ad easily by multiplying your actual ROAS, your target ROAS target, so that's 3, by your CPC, that's $2. I try to make it really easy. So your target EPC would be 6. So each ad you keep funding with ad spend that is below $6 of earnings per click costs you money. And here you can see how much it costs you. Just calculate your actual ROAS, which is 1.8 times the $2 CPC. That should come out to, that's 3.8. So the earnings per click on your actual best ad is $3.8. And the delta between your target and your actual EPC equals to $2.20. And then you multiply your lost earnings per click times your monthly ad spend. Let's say that's $10,000 you put behind. So actually your best ad is losing you $22,000 each month. And after you just try to measure this number, the LEPC number, lost earnings per click number, you really start to see how much money you actually are losing in comparison to what should be the real ROAS or the real earnings per click. So every time this number is more than 5,000 euros per month, and this is quite often, we come up with a new ad. If the lost earnings per click is anything more than $5,000 per month, then we come up with a new ad. And that really triggers the mechanism that allows you to have the lowest LEPC. And then you use this framework. So now I will go down and state every single step of it and show you why the bait is always the most important one. All right, where to start? You start always with the avatar. The avatar is the most important thing. And if you run ads for your own brand, you should be really familiar with the avatar, and you should be able to write diary entry of their day in like less than 1 hour. So if you feel familiar with the avatar, you can start right away. If you run ads for other clients like we do, we always interview 1 to 3 clients or customers of theirs to find one thing out. And that is how their ideal looks like. This is what all marketing is about, basically, stating the gap between the current state and the ideal state. And then you craft a landing page, or you at first you state the big roadblock between the avatar current situation and the goal situation, which is the ideal. So everybody thrives to become their ideal, and you just need to figure out what their ideal looks like. And that helps you to write one of the best copies. So this is no new concept. What we added, what we always do different, is to find out what their number one visible roadblock is between their current state and their ideal state. So there is always, in every niche, there is one thing blocking them from success, which they can see. You don't want to come up with a roadblock they can't even see yet. So let's make it real easy. As some of you might be in the make money niche, the visible roadblock would always be missing the formula, or missing the process instructions, missing the niche, missing the calculation, missing the test, missing the script. This is always the visible roadblock. So let's say if you want to coach people how to be a closer, like a phone closer, and make money with that, the number one visible roadblock is they miss the script, right? That's what they see. They don't see they missed the whole training, the mindset, the partnering up with other coaches. They don't see that yet. So to come up with a bait, that is like in fishing, to come up with a bait, you need to ask them or identify what their number one visible roadblock is. Let's say in this case, that would be the script. So you should actually, to have the best cost per lead and to have the lowest LEPC, the lowest lost earnings per click, you should nail the bait real good and test different baits. So one bait we would come up with, and we have been come up with, is to sell for free the script. So they can actually download this script to become a closer. And the whole ad is going to sell the script, the download of the script, which is in a members area, which is accompanied by a training that is basically the webinar. So nowadays, in most B2C niches, the awareness is that far that they always have many objections and many experiences with other YouTube ads they clicked on before. So that's why you need to basically hide the bait a little and then put in a demo, as we call it, which is kind of a workshop or a webinar that allows you to spend at least 60 minutes with the clients, with the going to be clients or customers. So to make it real easy, the avatar always dictates what the number one roadblock is. The number one roadblock should always be visible. You don't want to come up with any baits that are the solution for a roadblock not yet visible. So in this example of showing people how to become a full-time closer and having the freedom, you don't want to come up with any mindset stuff. You don't want to come up with any like objection handling stuff. You just want to use the number one visible roadblock, which is in this case a script, and craft the bait around it. So basically you offer them to download the free script, and then you put the script into a members area where there's an additional training to utilize this script. That is your webinar, because people don't sign up for webinars that often because they can see the bait and they see that you want to sell them something. So after having explained that, that is how you come up with one bait. you should always test different baits if your LEPC is above $3. So what we came up with is basically we try to iterate on this stage all along before we try to improve the whole ad by itself, the script of the YouTube ad. So all these parts, which is the script of the YouTube ads, is on second position, while on first position, you should figure out the bait. In lead gen cases, the best bait or a bait you can scale is below 1.4% of initial transaction volume. So to make it real easy, if you sell a high ticket coaching for like $3,000, then your cost per lead, so when somebody is signing up for your bait, shouldn't be any more than $42. That is the sign that your bait is correct, and then you can start to nurture the copy. But the most important thing after Pareto is the avatar, the visible roadblock, and then the bait for this avatar. And if you have figured that out, you can start writing different copies. Unless you haven't figured that out, you should just test with a real basic copy different baits to see which one comes to less than 1.4% of initial transaction volume. So after having stated that, the bait, what is the best place to find new baits? On YouTube. You can actually look at ads. You can use ad libraries. We used Video Ad Vault before many times. TubeSift is also a great software to see different baits in your niche. And we use them all the time before we crafted our own software company to do this job. So if you have your bait and you are ready to test this bait, you need to come up with some kind of copy. And this is like the simplest framework we ever came up with, because it only does like 20% of the job. 80% is like figuring out what the right bait is. And you can spy on different competitors, like what bait are having the highest ad spend. So after you figured out the bait, you come up with hooks. So where to start? We always craft the landing page at first to make the bait stated real clear. So after you have positioned your bait, let's say it's a $10 million script, some kind of that, then our landing page guys are crafting the landing page, and we are the copywriter just look on the landing page because that already sells the bait perfectly. Now we need to come up with congruent hooks for this landing page. So some real basic tips for you if you have never written any YouTube ad script that brought in more than $10,000 in revenue. Just focus on show and don't claim. Claims are real bad, you will violate the policies and you won't attract good clients. So show, don't claim. Make it click in their head instead of claiming any numbers, okay? Second rule for YouTube ads. Keep it as short as possible while utilizing this framework, okay? So if you are not sure if you should keep it longer or shorter, always decide for the shorter option, because that will leave more intent to go on in the funnel. So if you have an ad stating all the details, you will remove all the intent of your audience, and low intent equals low conversion. So keep your ads as short as possible. And the third rule is start with what's working. So if you have seen any baits that are already proven in your niche, could be a calculation tool, could be a quiz on how much weight you could lose, could be a $100 million script, could be like any kind of bait. Yeah, start with that and utilize this framework. So for the hooks, the first most important thing, you will always want to test more hooks. If you have ever found a winning bait and a winning copy, your only job is to craft new hooks. Each time your lost earnings per click per month equals more than $5,000, as we stated before, okay? Because that is the number that you will lose each month, and that allows you to test at least three new ads with new hooks, so you can lower that monthly loss of ad spend. Regarding hooks, Hooks are the number one attention stopper, as you might be familiar with that. So which hooks to use? Do you want to state the audience in there? Do you want to qualify for financial things like, hey, if you make at least 50K per year, then this is for you? No, actually, the only job a hook needs to do is stop and capture the attention for 5 more seconds. So you can move on to the recognize the problem state where you qualify your viewers. And this should allow you to be below 30 seconds in watch time. So the only job of the hook is to get the attention of your ideal prospects, or basically of everyone in your niche. So the hook should be mostly broad, while the recognized problem should be mostly niche. So let's come up with some hooks. The best hook the best hooks I've personally seen are always showing something instead of just explaining something. So there are basically 2 kinds of ad scripts. The ones with director's advice and the ones without director's advice. Director's advice is basically when you write for your client, put your iPad in front of the camera and show a picture of X or Y. And what we found out is like the best attention grabbers are not even utilizing many words, but instead they are showcasing something. And what do you want to showcase in the hooks depends always on your avatar, your ideal avatar, right? So what we did with our 9 best ads was one time jumping into the screen and screaming how much each woman has lost in pounds in the last like 6 weeks. So all these women, we brought up all these women and they jumped into the screen and all stated a kilogram number they lost in the last 6 weeks. This is one of our best hooks ever. Another real good hook is showcasing the actual closing script for the closer niche, let's say, into the camera and state that this script is accountable for X or Y in revenue. So showcasing hooks is always better than just sitting in a boring room and reading any hooks. Okay, so you really want to get the attention of the most amount of people to then qualify the people for their problem awareness. So another thing working really great in hooks is like always stating a question or building up cognitive dissonance. So these 2 points, question or cognitive dissonance, is working best to capture the most seconds in attention of a user. So you do have the option to either state or say or ask something or to show something. If you need to decide between both of them, always decide for showcasing some kind of, let's say, comparison, some kind of result, some kind of gimmick, or even showcasing the bait itself, like the $10 million closing script, or the weight loss calculation tool, or the matchmaker tool. Like, if you can decide between showing or saying, always decide for show and not for saying. Then the second decision you need to make while writing hooks is to use cognitive dissonance or just to ask a question. Sometimes you can combine even both. So the optimal hook would be showcasing a $100 million script or a $10 million script in the closer niche, and then asking a question that leads to cognitive dissonance. That could be, why is it that this script generates $10 million per year while let's come up with some ideas. While you work 40 hours a week to come up with like 50,000 euros a year or dollars a year. That is a bad example because it isn't worded that well, but it showcases instead of just saying. It also uses a question that then leads to cognitive dissonance and gives you more seconds to move on to the recognize a problem state. And this is really what you want after putting your hook in the ad. So I think the hooks are quite unique, and you should come up with at least 3 hooks per ad you write, and just use these 4 points. Try to say less, try to show more, try to either ask or use cognitive dissonance, or in the best case, state a question that then builds up cognitive dissonance, which are 2 states in the head that can't both be true. And that gives you the most amount of seconds of watch time that then equals to the highest conversion of your ideal users. So the first and most important part in your YouTube ad after the hook is to recognize the problem part. And there are many questions with that. So I will try to state it itself. Recognize a problem so we can write down some valuable points. How long should this phase be? You can use this rule of thumb. It should be 10 seconds if they are in high pain, and should be 30 seconds if they are in low pain. So this is low and this is high. Why? The recognize a problem part has 2 goals. The one goal is to create relevancy and to really qualify for the right audience. The other part of this recognize a problem point is to increase the pain awareness. So if you are in markets where people are in daily pain because they are confronted with their problem state every other hour, then you can use a short recognize a problem thing, because they will be familiar with all the pains and all the possible solutions stated up until here. If they are in a low pain state, so if you sell any kind of gimmick, helps, or like any kind of incremental advantages, you will always try to make the recognize the problem part longer, to increase the level of pain awareness there is, to increase intent, and then increase congruency and conversion on your funnel. So the rule of thumb is, if they are in daily pain and they get remembered of their pain every other hour, then you can make this part short and use 10 seconds. If they are in low pain, they might even not be familiar with this pain. They might have had that pain once, but not again. Then you will try to make this part longer to establish more intent, so more importance, so to say. So the relevancy part. We always start with the recognize problem phase with the relevancy, so we try to qualify now who our audience is. Another rule of thumb is to disqualify 19% of the viewer your hook brought you. So coming back to this framework, your hook gives you 5 to 15 more seconds to go, because you increase the level of cognitive dissonance and you really intrigue their interest. Now, in the recognize a problem phase, in the total watch time of like 5 seconds after your hook, here is your hook, up until 30 seconds total watch time of your ad, you want to disqualify 90% of all the viewers. Because after that, you will pay for them. If they click, you will pay for them. Or if they watch more than 30 seconds, if they are not sure if that's for them or not, you will have to pay for them. That increases your costs, and that increases your LAPC, and that makes you to do another ad again. So you really want to disqualify 90% of the viewership your hooks generated for you. How to disqualify? Many people are trying to, many advertisers are trying to disqualify for financial fitness, so to say. So what I have seen in many cases being not that successful is, if you earn at least $50,000 a year, you should really look at this solution, like some kind of that financial disqualifiers. What I've found is they usually don't work, as they always, or in most of the cases, lead to people being intrigued and wanting to find out why you disqualify them on financial marks. So please don't try to qualify for financials in this section, just try to qualify for awareness, for pain awareness, basically. So if you want to qualify for awareness, you first have to understand what awareness is. Awareness is, after Eugene Schwartz, differentiated into 4 different phases. They might be unaware, they might be problem aware, they might be solution aware, or they might be product aware. Where we spend the most amount of ad spend in B2C niches is in the problem aware phase. So they already saw they do have a problem, but they are not sure which solution could make their problem go away. So you spend in this area of problem awareness. Now you can nail down your avatar and state a qualifier to watch the next 30 seconds. We always qualify, or in the most cases, qualify for watching the next 30 seconds. So it goes like, if you have lost 4 pounds before, if you have lost at least 4 pounds before, but now you have trouble staying in that shape, then watch the next 30 seconds. That is a good example of a qualifier because it qualifies them for their level of awareness regarding your offer. And this is the only qualifier we do in YouTube. It's above the recognize a problem phase. It should be less than 5 seconds on average. And it should state that they have a problem that is quite specific to make them watch the next 30 seconds of your ad. Okay, this is how you qualify. You don't qualify for financial success. You try to qualify for a specific level of problem awareness. So in this case, while losing weight, you could state, if you have lost 4 pounds or more before, but now you're back on your old weight, then watch the next 30 seconds to benefit, to find a solution to that. Would be really basic, okay? I hope you understand, like the qualifier is to build relevancy with a real specific part or circle of the problem aware audience. Okay, and this is how you target on YouTube in B2C niches. You come up with the broadest targeting, you filter it by audiences that are definitely not suitable for your offer, and then you state the hook, trying to get all the attention there is, and then you nail down once with your targeting, so to say, in the ad with an awareness qualifier. That works really good in the B2C niches. So now let's make it easy for you. How do you move on from that? Okay, you stated your qualifier before you start to nurture down the problem. How to nurture down the problem? The problem part, and it depends how long that part is, based on the daily pain recognition of your typical viewer. And in this 10 to 30 seconds, you give them problem understanding, is how we call it in Germany. You give them a short explanation of why they do have the problem. So you really try to create an aha moment after the qualifier. So let's keep in this example of a woman having lost 4 pounds or more before, but then seeing the yo-yo effect and coming back to their old weight and feeling bad about it. Now you want to explain them why they do have the problem, and depending on the awareness stage, you keep it short or you keep it long. You explain it longer. So you give a prescription. So you qualified. Hey, if you have lost 4 pounds before and kept getting back to your old weight, you might have X. You give it a name in the best case. So you prescribe some kind of diagnose. So what we did before is you might have the ZSU, this, how to call it in English, disadvantage. Let's say you have the XYZ disadvantage. So then it gives you another kind of 2 to 5 seconds of curiosity of what they have, what you prescribed them, to get further down in the explanation of the problem. Remember, this whole thing, recognize a problem, is to give them an aha moment and give them a prescription they believe in. Okay? So you qualified. Hey, if you have ever had that and then happened that, then you might have XYZ syndrome or whatever. This creates curiosity and gives you some more seconds to go further down and create a real aha moment for your viewership. How to move on from here? After you stated a curious prescription, you state how they experience the problem to make them recognize that they actually might have this syndrome or thing that is not working real well. So let's make it more specific. If you've ever lost 4 pounds before and then kept getting back to your original weight, then watch this next 30 seconds, as you might be some kind of patient of this XYZ syndrome. What is the XYZ syndrome? If you have ever experienced X, Y, and Z, so here you state a specific pain they should have recognized before. Then you state another pain they should have recognized before. And then you state another pain or symptom they might have recognized before. You try to come up with like 3 different symptoms they might have experienced before. And then you give it a solution, a solution-based action. So you give the prescription, you might have the XYZ syndrome. You might be missing this protein. You might be missing a real good action plan. You might be missing this swipe file. So if you have experienced A, if you have experienced B, if you have experienced C, then you should. This "you should" is basically the transition between recognizing the problem to the teaser solution story that now gives them hope again. You see these 2 parts, you really go down emotionally with like building up some more fear that they might have a specific syndrome, some kind of thing they can't get rid of. And then afterwards, you instantly increase hope by teasing a solution story, where we go to next. But for the recognize a problem phase, that is between 10 seconds and 30 seconds, you qualify, create relevancy, you disqualify like 90% of the audience by a real good qualifier to watch the next 30 seconds. Then you give a rough prescription, you might have this specific thing, and then you explain how they can see themselves if they have this specific thing, and that leads you to then you should do or not do X instantly. So to make it specific, on the weight loss example for women we used, if you have ever lost 4 pounds or more before but kept getting back to your old weight, then watch the next 30 seconds of this video, as you might have the ZSU syndrome. So if you have ever experienced that you keep a clean diet and still the weight stays the same, if you have ever experienced not fitting in your jeans anymore, even though you try to do cardio every day, and if you have taken supplements that might have messed up all your metabolism, then you should stop doing any kind of diet or cardio right now. This is like almost the exact script we used in one of the 7-figure ads. So I hope you understand how this phase goes and how to leverage it and how to decide whether you keep it short or long. This is the recognize a problem part. And then we will move on to the teaser solution story now. So, and just to not go that in depth, we now try to keep it real easy, because these 3 parts are real easy to do. Okay, the first ones, the hooks, the recognize a problem phase, are kind of complicated. What are the most important ones? Now you just tease the solution story, state the bait, and then handle the objections coming with that bait. And I will show you how to do it now real fast. So after you made them recognize their problem, giving them a soft prescription they opt into, and after you have made 90% of the audience disqualify themselves because they don't see the symptoms your offer is the solution to, then you can move on to the teaser solution story. And this is real easy because it's mostly like 1 to 3 sentences, and it just increases the level of or the costs of what you invested to come up with the solution. So you basically tell a small story, and this is the only part in the whole ad where you really need to be creative, and you just increase the level of resistance you went through while finding this solution. And this is really important because it increases the intention of your viewers to have a look at the bait, which is the next phase. And this is in the hope-giving phase, right? So in the teaser solution story, what we did in most of the ads, we basically showed them or demonstrated them how complicated or how expensive it is to have found this solution you will name after this phase. So how you could come up with that is like, or how we did it was like, hey, basically we made a whole analysis of the metabolism of hundreds of women. Then we consulted a doctor with that, who basically told us there is one enzyme in this body of people who kept going back to the original weight and can't losing weight. And that one enzyme is accountable for slowing down the whole metabolism. And there is basically no real thing that can determine if that enzyme is in your body or not, if it's produced right now or not. This is basically the whole teaser of the solution story. We nail down this story to one specific part, which in that case is a specific enzyme they don't know about, and that creates all their problems. So we try to, the audience usually tries to find solutions everywhere. They look in each segment, on each website, on each phase of their problem, and you try to nail it down to one specific thing they can point their fingers at, which in our case would be an enzyme. There would be a specific question in the closing example. So if you want to coach closers on how to make a full-time living, you could use, as a teaser solution story, you can use a specific question right at the beginning of the sales call that makes all the difference. Like one specific thing that makes all the difference that you came up with after having tried everything else, after having a look at everything else, after buying all the other solutions available out there. Okay, so you make this teaser solution story in 1 to 3 sentences on average, while stating you went through all that different things to find that one thing being accountable for everything. And then you move on to stating the bait. So now we get to the fun part. We just state the bait. By the way, if you were wondering what P1, P2, P3 is all about, these are possible slots for pitches. So you can, even after stating the teaser solution story, you can put your first pitch. After stating the bait, you should obviously do a pitch. And after you handle the objections coming with this specific bait, you can put your third pitch. So, and now you might be wondering when to use how many pitches in your YouTube ad. And that is really simple. So the most ads we viewed of that have millions in ad spend used 2 pitches. So a pitch is a call to action that states exactly what to do next and what they get from the next step. But if your bait, and this is like the only thing you need to remember, if your bait has high friction, so high friction is you either give away your phone number or you pay money. So if your bait is a closing script template, and this bait costs like $1 to $9 or even up to $27, then it has high friction. If you want to collect the phone number right away on the next landing page, it has high friction. If they need to enter in more than 3 fields in a form, let's say, then it has high friction. If you do have high friction, you let out, you keep away the first pitch, and you use only 1 pitch in the state debate part and 1 second pitch in the objection handling part, because you want to keep the pitch away after, so you want to increase the view time before seeing the pitch. If your bait has low friction, like they can just opt in via email, or they don't even have to enter in their email, they just register for a free class, let's say, and they just, they always have to put in their email in most cases, then you can use 3 pitches, okay, because you can put the first pitch after roughly 30 seconds because it has low friction and will convert quite well. If you have high friction, you will want to keep the pitch away as long as possible and then put them on your landing page after having built up enough intent so they can actually convert. Okay, just remember this: high friction equals to 2 pitches, low friction in your bait equals to 3 pitches. You can pitch earlier. So, how to state the bait? Let's put that out again and make a single section for that, because that is a very important part. Stating the bait is directly after stating the one thing that is accountable for the solution. So in that example before, we stated an enzyme they didn't know about. That gives us the perfect advantage to now state the bait, because the number 1 question resulting out of the teaser solution story is, how can I do this without so much friction? This is the number 1 question. So in this weight loss example, it's how can I determine if I do have this enzyme? Or in the closer example, it would be how can I see which question that is in the script that is accountable for all the revenue or all the closing rate. Yeah, for everything we nail down the one thing accountable for all the pain, and that leads us to a question: how can I get this? And this gives us the perfect transition to stating the bait. And this goes real easy, and you can be creative with that, or you can keep it real short. This is usually 1 to 5 sentences, roughly, say, to state the bait. What you always want to include while stating the bait is stating the name. So it should have a unique name. It shouldn't be watch my free training series on how to generate income on Amazon. It should always be something like you can get free access to the Amazon incubator video, right? You give it a name. This is the first. Then you state what they get from it. So to see exactly how, so like if you have this enzyme, to be totally transparent with you, our bait in the weight loss sample that generated more than 7 figures revenue, it was like, hey, you can do our ZSU body test. So it is just a quiz kind of thing with 9 questions to see exactly. And then it was, if you have this specific symptom that can only be that can only be made up by this by having this enzyme in your body. So sorry for the English, my bad English, but I try to translate it instantly. So we gave it a name to state the bait. Hey, this is our ZSU body test that helps you see exactly if you have this enzyme right now in your body slowing down your mechanism. Go to, and then we always create a unique URL for each bait. So you don't want to send them to the main website or some kind of other funnel you tried before. You always want to redirect them to a specific, easy to remember domain, because that increases the number of clicks even after they have seen the ad. So if they have a easy name to remember, like I just come up with zsutest.de, they will remember it afterwards and they can really get the bait. Otherwise, they see the danger of being put in any kind of funnel. So you always want to register a free domain that is easy to remember. And then you basically state the bait in 3 points. You name it, like the ZSU body test, to see exactly if that one thing is in your body, how that looks, get that X, get that Y. Go to and click on to get instant result. So this is like real easy. You want to decrease friction or visible friction. So you don't have to give us a blood test. You just click on that option that fits your state the best. Okay, then you just want to play this thing. Decrease friction, increase benefits. Quite easy. Each time you pitch, you basically do that. You decrease friction and you increase benefits. And that makes them click. So if this is not in this direction, you don't get a click. But if you decrease friction, hey, you don't have to opt in, or you can just click on the option that suits you best, or you can just download the script after putting in your email. You decrease friction, you increase benefits. And this is basically how you state the bait. The most important thing in this area is to give it a unique name and a unique domain. That really moves the needle in this part. And everything else, you can be creative or you can keep it simple. Give it a name, see the benefit, see a specific result, better to say, and then direct them on the next page and what they should click on next. This is what you do to state the bait. So now we get to the last part, which is objection handling. Most people do this wrong and they don't get the skeptical people converted, and they are the most loaded ones, so to say, because they usually don't click on other offers because they don't get the objection handling right. So if you have come up with the correct bait, you identified the roadblock for the avatar, then you crafted the bait, and then you made a great hook, you made them recognize the problem and prescribe it to themselves, then you teased the solution story and stated the bait, you should by now have 80% of all the ones that are capable of at least doing the next step and signing up for your bait, okay? Now it goes to how to get the other 20% that all the other advertisers don't get because they don't handle the correct objections. You see, most advertisers use simple objection handlings at the end, like, hey, if this doesn't work for you, we will refund you. Or, hey, if this, you don't have to put in your phone number. Or, hey, this will only take you 10 seconds, so do it now. These are basic objection handling tactics that we usually don't use. What we try to come up with in objection handling is 3 specific friction points your bait has that nobody else has. So let's do the last part of a perfect 6 to 7 figure YouTube ad script. And remember, you only have to come up with all these things once, okay? If you have a proven bait and you have a proven body copy, you only need to exchange hooks once your LEPC gets too high, okay? So all this work we do, you can repeat once or twice, write down all the notes, and craft together with this recording, craft the perfect YouTube ad, and then you can lay back, okay? And the objection handling needs, and this is the most important part, needs always to be specific to this specific bait you put in before. So registering for a webinar can't have the same objection handling as doing an online body test. And it couldn't have the same objection handling like downloading a proven sales script. Okay, so each bait comes with its own objection handling. So in this case, let's go back to the weight loss example of this specific enzyme that might be in your body or might not be in your body and sabotaging all your weight loss efforts. With this specific bait we stated, this is a body test. This is the bait, okay? The body test to see if this enzyme could be in your body. The objection handling for that is no, so you basically think of all the friction points they could come up with if they heard of it the first time. Okay, so if they heard the first time of any kind of online body test, that would be that you can't make a diagnosis online. Okay, that could be one of my objections. Like, how can you diagnose if I have an enzyme in my body with an online test? That is number one objection exactly we came up with. So first is, yeah, it's first, the main objection is, hey, that can't work because of not enough data on my body. They expect to send in their blood test so you can diagnose if the enzyme is in there. The second one would be personal data. Okay. Then on the next page on this that as you test, I will need to put in all my personal data like weight and like how much I eat and so on. I don't want to do that. So personal data is another objection. And the third objection is no actual result shown. So if they have done that before, then the third objection would be, okay, you basically afterwards, after doing the test, you will state, hey, it might be that you have this problem, or it might not be, it depends on XYZ, watch this VSL. You want to exclude that objection also. So small recap, yeah? Every bait has at least three specific objections. If you just ignore them, you will have paid for the people watching your pitch, but they won't convert because they are still skeptical. So each bait has around 3 objections that are specific to this bait, and you should address and handle that. Don't try to ignore it and say, hey, I won't mention it because nobody will think of it. No, just try to come up with 3 high friction things people could excuse themselves with not moving on, not going to your funnel, not opting in your landing page. This increases the conversion the most because now you have real skeptical people that never opted in before in any other advertiser's funnel because they never got their objections handled correctly. And objections, you can't handle objections that are general. You just can handle objections that are real specific. And how are they specific? They should be specific to your bait. So come up with 3 points, or just ask other people what they had for objections if they should do a body test online. So we figured out, hey, it can't work online because you can't have enough data. If you have enough data, then I would have entered all my personal data, which I don't want. And maybe you try to get me in some kind of funnel and you don't show me any real results. So how can we come up with a solution to all three objections they could have? Just remember the basic rules. Show, don't claim. So the best case would be to show actual data now, like testimonials, having shown the diagnosis of your body test. in that case, or show in the closer example, if you run ads for B2C closer coachings, you can show results like, hey, this is Gustav, and Gustav made like 10,000 euros last month with asking this question, and you show a result. So real results are stated best here. For the personal data objection, you explain why you don't need personal data to identify a symptom that is clearly accounted to one enzyme in their body. And it can't work because of enough data that basically is handled by what I stated before. Like, hey, we just want to identify if you have this one specific symptom that is only accountable to this enzyme you have in your body. So we don't need any personal data from you, would be the objection handling. And we don't need much data of you. We just will ask you if you have these two symptoms, and if you do have them, then it's a clear sign of you having the enzyme in your body that basically makes your whole metabolism not working. Okay, this is real in depth, I know, and this can be difficult to concentrate on, but just remember this: each bait has specific objections you need to handle. You come up with them by asking other people on why they wouldn't do that. That should give you at least 3 points of objections you then can handle with, in the best case, showing that these objections are not real, which are basically testimonials. Or you can just say it and explain it. Explain why you don't need personal data to show them if their enzyme is in their body. Why you don't need much data points or many data points, because it's just the combination of two symptoms that shows that this enzyme is in your body. And then you state what happens next. Okay, after objection handling, let's get back to the sketch. It's quite messy, but after the objection handling, you should be at between 1 minute 30 and 3 minutes, depending on how long each section goes with your approach. And then you state what happens next after they did the action. So after you downloaded the 7-figure script, I will give you an in-depth training on how to use it. Or after having done the ZSU body test, I will give you the solution matching to your body type, and so on. You state the benefit, and you end with the benefit. You shouldn't end with any kind of, hey, see you in the next video, thank you for watching, or whatever. You just end with the benefit and state, if you want to increase the click-through rate even more, you state a 10-second countdown for them to take action. So they have still 10 seconds time to take action to do the click. So how to determine if you use a countdown or not? If your ad is still below 3 minutes and with 10 seconds countdown time, you won't exceed this 3 minutes limit, then you put a countdown. If you are above 3 minutes with the countdown, you keep it out. Okay, awesome. Now we are done with the whole ad framework training. One final thought I want really to state in your head. So while this might be confusing for the first time, because we came up with a lot of new concepts that we used in the last 3 years in our agency, you can really just remember one thing. And that is basically the LEPC KPI I told you before. Because this really makes all the difference. Like the hook makes all the difference in the ad, the LEPC is the most important thing because it tells you when to even write and come up with new ads. So after you measuring the LEPC, or like the delta between your target draws and what that would bring in money-wise for you, and the actual best ads performance, after measuring this delta and seeing like in clear numbers how much you lose while not testing new ads, that thing only is really important, because then you start testing new ads, and the ads make all the difference, as you have seen with like Ty Lopez ads or Potty Squatty or $1 Shave Club. There are like always is a one ad accountable for like 7 figures plus in revenue with all the great advertisers you might have seen before. And if you see the LEPC is too high, you have too much opportunity cost, just come back to this video and see if your bait is really, if it's really possible with your bait to spend some 100Ks on that. If it's not, don't try to come up with any better copy. Just come up with a better bait and test the bait with the real basic ad framework first. And if that bait gives you great numbers, real good numbers, just then try to improve the copy once. And then if that gives you good numbers, yeah, and low opportunity cost, then you only need to iterate the hooks. You only need to do this whole thing we did today once to generate 7 figures. Or you can even use like softwares to scrape ads that are already proven to work with like millions of ad spend. So in each case, I hope this training really helped you to put all the different points together. I try to stay away from real tactical advice, as you will get that on like every end, and everybody is showing you how to state things clearer, how to shorten the copy, how to make great metaphors. But that all doesn't move the needle. The real thing moving the needle is identifying when to come up with a new ad or bait, and then how to find the right bait for your avatar, and then using this framework. This is basically accountable for all the revenue you will generate. It's not the single words of it. It's not the single sentence you exchange and then basically it all explodes. It's like this framework of the different stages I put you through before. And that really makes all the difference. Like you only need one ad to make 7 figures in annual revenue. And this is how you can do it. I hope I could help you. And if you have any further questions, I'm in the Slack channel. You can send me a DM. I will take a look at it like each second day. So if you have a question, please keep it short and be specific so I can help you when I have the time to do that. And yeah, happy to help and happy to be a member of AdSkills. Thank you for watching.